iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Dr. Roto, get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Today it is the Jacksonville Jaguar podcast preview. So let's get it started, as we always do, with the Jaguars who have changed administration. Tom Coughlin comes back to Jacksonville after many years of being away, trying to get them back to their old glory. Doug Marrone is there as the coach. So Marrone and Coughlin working together in unison to trying to right this ship for the Jaguars. And let me just tell you, this is a very, very rocky, shaky ship at the very least. Before we get to the offense, I will say that I thought Jacksonville did a great job of adding players on defense. They added Calais Campbell. They added Barry Church. They added A.J. Boye. And then when you have Boye and Jalen Ramsey, you're talking about two of the best cornerbacks in the game. Two great young cornerbacks. I love me some Telvin Smith. Miles Jack looks like he's ready to play. So this is a defense on the rise. I think this defense could cause some havoc here in regular NFL and, of course, in fantasy. I think it's a pretty good team. I wouldn't want to be throwing on Boye and Ramsey. I mean, Ramsey is a really good cornerback. So I'm very interested to see how that turns out. But let's get to the offense. It all begins and sadly ends with Blake Bortles. So I have two major comments about Blake Bortles, which I always make. One, I think he is the quarterback of my all-airport team. What's my all-airport team? The guys who look good coming off the plane, and then they suck when they get on the field. Blake Bortles is a big dude. He's like 6'5", 240, looks the part, but he stinks. Here's my next thing. Blake Bortles might be the worst first-half quarterback I have ever seen in all my years of watching the NFL. But you're like, but Dr. Roto, dude, have you seen his numbers? Yeah, I've seen his numbers. Have you seen his first-half numbers of all the games? They are so bad that at the end, when you're like, well, he put up 257 yards and a touchdown, at halftime he had 62 yards and no touchdowns. So he's getting all this stuff in garbage time. When asked in the offseason, what's the ideal number of attempts for Blake Bortles, Doug Marrone said 0. I don't think he was kidding. Blake Bortles is a train wreck, and I don't recommend him. So my friend Andy was at the Fantasy Football World Championships last year, and he's a very good fantasy football player, one of the top-ranked guys out there. And he's drafting his team. I look at his team, I go, I love your team except for one thing. He goes, who? I go, Bortles. He goes, no, look at his numbers. I go, Bortles stinks. Fast forward a few months later, who was right? Dr. Roto. Bortles stinks. Blake Bortles is a backup quarterback in the NFL. Maybe he's a starter on a bad team, which is what the Jaguars are. You want to be a bad team? Have Blake Bortles as your quarterback. You want to be a good team? Get rid of this bum. Seriously. You're overpaying him. He stinks. So I can't. If you draft him, you are hoping for garbage time. That's what you're hoping for. And let me tell you something. Their defense is better. Their running game is better. They're not going to throw the ball as much. So I think those games where Jackson was like 27, 24, 35, 31, I think those are a thing of the past. I think Blake Bortles, I'm very down on him. Very, if you can't tell. My next guy I want to talk about is Leonard Fournette. So you are going to be faced with a life decision at your draft. Somewhere between the mid-second round and early third round, you're going to have to decide when to take the shot on Leonard Fournette. Okay? And you're going to have to decide, is he as good as we hope he is. And I'm going to tell you something. He is a really, really, really good football player. Now, he was not very good last year in college, and there was a reason. Because he was trying to protect his future. He was trying to protect his future. He already knew he was going to be a first-round pick. He knew his ankles weren't 100%. You think he's running hard in college? No. Okay? Go Tigers on Saturday, but go to the NFL and get a big contract on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that Fournette, the Fournette that what you're going to see is the Fournette from 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So let me play a game called high-low here. Leonard Fournette high, 1,300 yards rushing. Low, 1,000 yards. Touchdowns, high is about 11, low is about 7. Pass receptions, high is about 36, low is about 20. Receiving yards, high is about 300 yards, low is about 200 yards. Receiving touchdowns, high is about 3, low is about 1. Okay? So I'm going to put those numbers together. One moment, please. Please hold. Thank you for holding. I appreciate your holding. So he may be a 280-point player versus, one moment, please. Thank you for holding. We appreciate your patience. To 188. He will be anywhere between 188 and 280 points. So at his worst, he's a 6-rounder. At his best, he's a 1st or 2nd round player. Are you willing to take the risk? Are you willing to take the ride? In standard leagues, I am. In half-point PPR leagues, I am. In a PPR format, I might wait till the 3rd round. I might. Now, if I start my PPR draft with a running back, I'm not taking Fournette in round 2 or 3. I'm going to go receiver. But if I start my draft receiver, I might take Fournette as my 1st running back. Okay? I don't want him to be my 2nd running back because then I want to make sure I get some good receivers. That's the plan there. Do I like Leonard Fournette? I do. I like him a lot. Not a little, a lot. But I gave you, look, 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards rushing, 200 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns rushing. That's not a bad season. But it could be a whole lot better. There's TJ Yeldon there as well. I mean, maybe he's okay. I don't know. I'm okay with him. I think he's a 3rd down back. If Fournette looks like he can't catch the football, then TJ Yeldon will play more. It's as simple as that. Would I take a shot on Yeldon? I probably would. God forbid Fournette gets hurt. TJ Yeldon has value. Chris Ivory's still there. I mean, this guy will never go away. I don't love him. But once again, if Fournette gets hurt, Chris Ivory has some value. Very, very small value. Wide receivers. There's 3 that I want to speak about. 1, Allen Robinson. So imagine you are Allen Robinson or DeAndre Hopkins, and you're a good player, but you're playing with a crappy quarterback. You're playing with a crappy quarterback. I mean, this guy had 151 targets and 73 receptions. I'm blaming Blake Bortles on a lot of those, 50 of those. Now, maybe Allen Robinson dropped a lot of passes, and I'm willing to agree with that because I don't think he concentrates very well. I think he's got great talent, but I don't think he concentrates very well. But Blake Bortles stinks. He's not making it any easier on this guy. And Blake Bortles puts him in bad positions to catch the football. So here's the problem with Allen Robinson for me. Allen Robinson, and look, I did 2 drafts last night. Literally, I double-fisted drafts last night. Had one computer on one computer on the other. Allen Robinson's a 3rd-round pick. I just don't know if I want to go on that journey with you. I don't think I want to take the trip where Allen Robinson's a 3rd-round pick. Just don't want it. I don't trust the team. I don't trust the play calling. I don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust his hands. I have trust issues. I have severe trust issues. If I don't trust, it's not good. It's not good. So I'm not telling you he's a bad pick. I'm telling you I don't think I want to take the ride. I don't think I want to take the ride. I will take the ride on Marquise Lee. Because there were times last year when Marquise Lee and not Allen Robinson appeared to be the number one receiver. Marquise Lee was very highly targeted by Blake Bortles. There were times I was like, who's the number one receiver on this team? Marquise Lee? Or Blake Bortles? Or Allen Robinson? This dude had 105 targets last year. 105 targets. That's pretty close to Allen Robinson. Allen Hurns only had 76 targets. So that tells you that Marquise Lee is very, very popular in Blake Bortles' play calling catalog there. Right? Marquise Lee Robinson. So maybe Marquise Lee really is the number two receiver. Now, let me share this with you. Allen Robinson is going to be a third-round pick. Marquise Lee is going to be a 12th to 13th round pick. Where's the value better? Now, do I think that Marquise Lee is going to score as many touchdowns? No. But what if I told you that he's going to have 60 catches for 850 yards and 5 touchdowns? Unthinkable? Right? So what did I say? 60 for 850 and 5. Right? Allen Robinson is going to be about 80 for 1,000, 1,100 yards and 8. Is that fair? So let's do the math on this one. 175 for Lee. And this is 80, 48, 110, 238. Is Allen Robinson better? Yeah. Yeah, he's about 40 points better. Is that worth 9 rounds? 9 rounds. I would argue that Marquise Lee might be a better value. Not a better player. You didn't hear me say player, but a better value than Robinson. Perhaps my favorite 2 receivers on this team are 2 guys that won't catch the football that much. First of all, I really like Rashad Green, and I like D.D. Westbrook, right? I do. I like them a lot, but they're just Jags, just guys. But I really like Allen Hurns. Allen Hurns is a great route runner. Great. I don't think you guys realize that. Now, in 2015, he had 10 touchdowns. And that was an anomaly. That was for sure an anomaly. Because he was getting a lot of last-minute touchdowns at the end of the game. You know, in garbage time, Blake Bortles' garbage time, he was getting touchdowns. But he had 1,000 yards receiving that year. He is sure-handed, and he runs great routes. But he is legitimately the third target on this team. And I don't know if there's enough to go around. I really don't know if there's enough to go around. Because I know the Jaguars want to pass less. So if they want to pass less, and this guy's a third receiver, he's going to get less. I don't dislike Hurns. I'll like him way more if Leo Robinson gets injured, but I'm not taking Allen Hurns till around 14 or 15 as my 6th or 7th guy. Just not doing it. At tight end, they brought in Michael Rivera. I mean, he could be the number 1 tight end. He's not special to me. They have Mercedes Lewis, who's more of a blocking guy, who always seems to get another a touchdown here or there. I'm not thrilled with him. I really would like to see them draft Gary Barnidge, but I don't think that's going to happen. And here's why. Their offensive line isn't very good. They need a blocking tight end. And Mercedes Lewis is probably that guy. Mercedes Lewis is like 6'7", 275 pounds. He's like another lineman. They need that to protect Blake Bortles. So if anything, Rivera is going to be the receiving tight end. There was Ben Koyak last year who played well in spots. I'm just not buying into it. I mean, he's a 2-target-a-game kind of guy. Nothing special for me. Their kicker is Jason Myers. He went 7 for 12 and 50 yards or plus. I mean, that's good. I got to give him that. But I don't love this guy. It's a bad team. I don't trust him. And what happens when Blake Bortles gives you the big goose egg? Seriously, you don't think the Jaguars can get shut out? Of course you do. You know they can because they're capable of it with Blake Bortles, who's a living nightmare. So I'm not going to invest in a Jason Myers ever because I don't want the big fat zero. When I would invest in a kicker, I want a good offense. Give me Dustin Hopkins on a good Redskins offense. Don't give me Jason Myers. Jason Myers may be a better kicker. He may be. I don't know, but he may be. But he's on a crappy team, and I want no part of it. Okay? So I'm going to say this over the next 6 weeks or so, but I'll tell you the story. So last night, I literally was in an online championship and a starter draft at the same time, and it was a great experience. The drafts moved smoothly. My starter draft was 24 rounds. We were done in less than 2 hours. It was a great draft room experience. It was easy to use, cheat sheets, draft boards, everything at my fingertips. It was just terrific. And I was very proud of Scout Fantasy. We filled 3 drafts on a Wednesday night in July. Outstanding stuff. Really was. So if you want to be part of that same experience, go to playffwc.com. Go right to our draft lobby, see what's happening out there, pick a draft that you're interested in, and join. It's a lot of fun. I had pick 12 in one draft, pick 11 in another. It's purely random. It wasn't like Dr. Roto was getting David Johnson. Not even close. How to make it work, baby. How to make it work. I'm all in on Jay Ajayi last night. I had him in both leagues. And I have Martavis Bryant in both leagues. Both those guys, a little bit of knuckleheads, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. Also, check out what else you have to do. You got to go to scoutfantasy.com, enter the promo code ROTO, that's ROTO. Pay for 1 month, get 2 more months for free. Be part of what we're doing at Scout Fantasy. It's exciting stuff, and we just give you the best product anywhere. Anywhere. I really believe that. And for the price, oh my God, you're ripping us off. That's how cheap it is. I've never said that before. You're ripping us off. I mean, I'm like, we should be charging 5 times as much. It's Adam Rona, Sean Childs, and Dr. Roto, 3 proven winners, and we're like giving it away for free. That's crazy with a side of crazy sauce. All right, but right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Back with more previews in the coming days, as we always do, but I'm wishing you a great day. Be well, and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!